Top 5. I'm h.t.fenik, and in this Top 5 video, I'll be looking at the most disturbing graphic novel moments with the Joker. But before I do that, we must understand what is meant by disturbing. According to the dictionary definition, it is when we enter an anxious or worrying state, which is exactly what I felt when reading these graphic novel moments involving the Joker. Now we must also understand that fear is a highly subjective emotion, and what disturbs me might have no effect on you, and vice versa. Therefore it is important that you bear this in mind as you listen to my top 5 list, as I give my reasons for why they had a disturbing effect on me. Before we begin, however, I want to give one honourable mention to a disturbing Joker moment which does not quite make my list. This is in Jim Starlin's A Death in the Family, where the Joker mercilessly beats the second Robin with a crowbar, then detonates a timed bomb, killing Jason Todd and his mother before Batman can rescue them. The fact that this moment of pure evil does not even make my top 5 should show you how macabre this list truly is. We begin at number 5 with a graphic novel called Arkham Asylum Madness, written and illustrated by Sam Keith in 2010. The story invites us to spend 24 hours in Gotham City's Arkham Asylum for the criminally insane, and revolves around the nurses, doctors, and security guards working the dreaded night shift. The asylum is home to many of Gotham's most notorious criminals. However, it is the moments involving the Joker and his practical jokes that prove most disturbing. As we begin the story, Dr. Hurd has suggested that inmates take up a hobby as part of their therapy. As a result, the Joker begins collecting novelties and humorous antique toys, or so it would seem, until Dr. Gallagher has a staff meeting where he discusses the severed foot the guards have been using as a practical joke. Upon testing the foot, it is discovered to be an actual human foot belonging to a former guard, Ben Polito. The Joker had severed it in an altercation, then made it appear as if it was merely a prop. In reviewing the Joker's collectibles, they discover that many of the injuries caused by the Joker were directly inspired by his collectibles. These include ripping the eyes from a guard's head and swapping them with those from a pair of novelty glasses, the arrow through the head gag, except with a real arrow having already done the work, and of course, the exploding cigar. I feel that utilising something designed for fun to commit horrific acts fully epitomises the Joker, and Keith brilliantly captures the essence of the character here. I also feel that it mirrors something in ourselves. This is a reminder that we are all capable of cruel, practical jokes. However, the Joker just takes it one step further. However, what happens when someone plays a practical joke on the Joker? What happens when he is given a taste of his own medicine? We find out when some security staff recount an incident involving a rusty, decayed bathtub named Old Red. Upon discovering that the Joker supposedly had a son named Milton Napier, who died in a fire alongside his mother, Mike, a security guard, had his cousin create a name plaque for Milton Napier. In a nasty attempt at humour, Mike threw it into the tub for the Joker to discover. After finding the nameplate, the Joker insisted he was going to wash his hands in the tub with his bar of soap, but offered it to Mike to use first. The bar of soap was a novelty item intended to make it look as though the user's hands were bleeding. This caused Mike to panic, and the Joker then drowned him to give him a closer look at the plaque. I guess the theme here is never kid a kidder. However, the quintessential reason for this graphic novel being on my list is because of an incident involving some light bulbs. We initially get a glimpse of the Joker sitting in the darkness of his cell, with the only light coming from the window after he has destroyed his light bulbs. After his light bulbs are repaired, the Joker destroys them again and ends up in the infirmary after he chews on the broken glass. Whilst waiting for treatment, the Joker notices he is beside the staff refrigerator. It isn't until later that we discover Dr. Hurd is feeling unwell whilst on his dinner break. Some of his symptoms include bloody gums, stomach inflammation, and vomiting. Initially we are uncertain as to what is causing Dr. Hurd's illness, until the Joker answers our queries via a phone call to the doctor.
Joker, let's talk about this tomorrow. Put one of the guards on the phone now.
This a boundary thing, Doc?
This is highly unacceptable.
Doctor,
Do you need assistance?
How are your gums, Doc?
Gums?
Why so shy? Your health problems are hardly a secret. Us loonies haven't much else to gab on about, you know. And still having tummy troubles. Somebody in the infirmary said your esophagus was ripped up like asphalt, eh?
If you've got a point, Joker, make it!
Just saying, we've got a lot in common. I eat broken light bulbs which play hell with my gums. But why is it that the more I eat, the worse you get? Haven't you wondered, Doc? It all started when you brought your lunch to work and put it in the staff fridge. Isn't that when the tummy troubles began? Bet it never crossed your mind, did it? All those weeks, those crunchy tuna sandwiches slid right down, didn't they? With a little help from yours truly, of course.
The key was to get out of my cell and into the infirmary next to the fridges. Wrap the broken shards in a hanky, then wait for my chance. What's my point, Doc? I've bit the bulb.
But I never swallowed.
You're the one who's been eating glass.
Oh, lordy. I slay myself. That was a classic.
This is another disturbing Joker moment for me, as it truly highlights his character. Initially, we think the Joker's destruction of light bulbs represents his destructive personality, and his self-mutilation, as eating the light bulbs, is yet another random act of insanity. We think that ostensibly the Joker is an unpredictable character that has no clear modus operandi or sense of purpose. However, through the clever use of cross-cutting, we learn that the Joker's insane behaviour very much has a sinister and well-planned purpose. What is most frightening is that this so-called madman is always one step ahead of us all. Our next entry is a story where the Joker wants to prove that it only takes one bad day to drive anyone to madness, and his guinea pig to prove this nefarious theory is Commissioner Gordon. Alan Moore's The Killing Joke is regarded as the Joker's definitive origin story, as it depicts his unfortunate fall into insanity. One moment that puts this graphic novel on my list is when the Joker casually shoots Barbara Gordon in the stomach, paralysing her right in front of her horrified father. What is worse, however, is that the Joker ridicules the librarian's condition, using multiple double entendres to compare her to a book with a damaged spine. To further add insult to injury, the Joker undresses her and takes a number of pictures to document her torment. Just as you think this graphic novel cannot become any more sinister, the Joker kidnaps Commissioner Gordon and imprisons him in a run-down amusement park, as we can witness here.
What's this? What are you doing? You can't do that. Stop! Oh no! Oh no! Don't do this! I won't. Oh, please! What is this? Where are you? Where are you taking me? Oh dear God! Oh God! Am I dreaming? Am I dreaming this? What happened? I was sitting in my... What? Somebody please tell me what I'm doing here.
Doing? You're doing what any sane man in your appalling circumstances would do. You're going mad.
You? Oh no! I remember!
Remember? Oh, I wouldn't do that. Remembering's dangerous. I find the past such a worrying, anxious place. The past tense, I suppose you'd call it. Memory so treacherous. One moment you're lost in a carnival of delights with poignant childhood aromas, the flashing neon of puberty, all that sentimental candy floss. The next, It leads you somewhere you don't want to go. Somewhere dark and cold, filled with damp, ambiguous shapes of things you'd hoped were forgotten. Memories can be vile, repulsive little brutes, like children, I suppose.
Barbara! Oh no!
But can we live without them? Memories are what our reason is based upon. If we can't face them, we deny reason itself. Although, why not? There is no sanity clause. So when you find yourself locked onto the unpleasant train of thought, heading for the places in your past where the screaming is unbearable, remember, there's always madness. Madness is the emergency exit. You can just step outside and close the door on all those dreadful things that happened to you. You can lock them away. Forever. Heads up, Commissioner. No fair hiding your eyes in the ghost train, you old fraidy cat. Oh, I know. You're confused, you're frightened. Who wouldn't be? You're in a hell of a situation. But, you know, though life's a bowl of cherries and this is the pits, always remember this. Music, Sam! When the world is full of care and every headline screams despair, when all is rage, starvation, war, and life is vile, then there's a certain thing I do which I shall pass along to you that's always guaranteed to make me smile. I go loony as a light bulb battered bug, simply loony, sometimes bowman chew the rug. Mr. Life is swell in a padded cell. It'll chase those blues away. You can trade your gloom for a rubber room and injections twice a day. Just go loony like an acid casualty or a moony or a preacher on TV. When the human race wears an anxious face, when the bomb hangs overhead, when your kid turns blue, it won't worry you. You just smile and nod instead. When you're loony, you just don't give a fig.
Wait a minute! That's...
Man so puny and the universe so big.
Barbara.
If you're hurt inside, get certified, and life should treat you bad. Don't get even, get mad. Here they are now. My goodness, that's some ghost train. When they went in, the chap in the middle didn't look a day over 17. And his three little pals were professional basketball stars. Look at him now. Poor fella. That's what a dose of reality does for you. Never touched the stuff myself, you understand? Find it gets in the way of the hallucinations. Why, hello, Commissioner. How's things? Commissioner? Hello? Anybody home? God, how boring. This man's a complete turnip. Take him away and put him in his cage. Perhaps he'll get a little livelier once he's had a chance to think his situation over. To reflect upon life. and all its random injustice. Ladies and gentlemen, you've read about it in the newspapers, now shudder as you observe before your very eyes the most rare and tragic of nature's mistakes. I give you the average man. Physically unremarkable, it has instead a deformed set of values. Notice the hideously bloated sense of humanity's importance, the club-footed social conscience, and the withered optimism. It's certainly not for the squeamish, is it? Most repulsive of all are its frail and useless notions of order and sanity. If too much weight is placed upon them, they snap. How does it live, I hear you ask? How does this poor, pathetic specimen survive in today's harsh and irrational world? The sad answer is, not very well. Faced with the inescapable fact that human existence is mad, random, and pointless, 1 in 8 of them crack up and go start slavering bucko! Who can blame them? In a world as psychotic as this, any other response would be crazy.
This sequence is highly disturbing on many levels. The Joker's mental and physical torture of Gordon is very severe and is ultimately designed to drive him into insanity. The Commissioner is beaten, stripped naked, dressed in sadomasochistic gear, given LSD, verbally abused, and forced to see images of his naked and bloodied daughter. This torment is conducted in order to humiliate, emasculate, and ultimately drive Gordon into insanity, just so the Joker can prove his point. It only takes one bad day for anyone to descend into madness. Despite being traumatized by the ordeal, Gordon retains his sanity and moral code. He insists that Batman capture the Joker by the book in order to show him that the justice system works. Therefore, at the end, it is the Joker who loses. What I find most disturbing about The Killing Joke is the Joker's message. It is a terrifying reminder that life can present us all with random injustice, and it only takes one bad day to send anyone over the edge. Let's not forget that the Joker lost his job, family, and face before going insane. Some of us are ready to kill after something as trivial as a traffic incident. Perhaps we are all ready to go over the edge with one simple push on any given day. My third entry documents the Joker's return to Gotham City after he is released from Arkham Asylum. Inspired by Heath Ledger's performance in The Dark Knight, Brian Azzarello's Joker depicts an extremely bleak and adult version of the eponymous character. In an attempt to take his city back, the Joker teams up with Frost and Killer Croc as he embarks on a gruesome killing spree, murdering many thugs who stole his money, turf, and sense of reputation. One scene that is particularly graphic is when the Penguin informs the Joker that Harvey Dent is refusing to accept a telephone conversation with him. An enraged Joker trashes a phone and brutally kills one of his own henchmen with a glass bottle, then sets the place on fire. This act of random violence shows just how unpredictable the Clown Prince of Crime really is, and that working with him is a 24-hour game of Russian roulette. However, it could be argued that one of the most psychologically disturbing moments in this novel involves Frost's ex-wife Shelley. After the Joker helps Frost take Shelley back from Two-Face, he discovers that Frost had a secret meeting with Harvey Dent. Feeling cheated by his partner in crime, the Joker decides to make things even by raping his wife. Rape is one of the most despicable acts that any human being can commit, and there is nothing funny about this moment in the graphic novel whatsoever. This does highlight the fact, however, that the Joker is one of the most evil characters in the DC universe. Oddly enough, this moment, as dark as it is not the most gruesome in this graphic novel. That moment is reserved for an extremely sadistic scene in a strip bar, which we can witness here.
Well, look who it is! Welcome home, boss!
Monty, it's been a while, at least.
Too long, and no time to talk about that. We gotta celebrate.
We do? What's the occasion?
You're out, huh?
I am.
Drink?
Yeah. Another.
I've been to some parties in my day, but this was one hell of a party. It wasn't just off the hook. It tore the hook off the wall, and the wall off the house.
Yeah.
It was all about respect, the kind I wanted. You feeling good?
I'm feeling.
Good. So, why'd you bring them animals with you? I'll admit, Croc has a certain eccentric way with evidence, but it doesn't make him a...
You said animals. Monty, we should talk about what's happened while I've been away. I know you'd rather wait for tomorrow, but I'm antsy.
I hold you that way, boss.
I know. In your pocket, you have $1.
Yeah? Off the damn side of the city. Man, Joker, free. And me, Johnny Frost. A name you know now. I'm not what I was. I signed that away on a dotted line. A salute to my past. Forget that. I was part of one hell of a party. I was. Jesus, no!
Friends, I'm very distressed. You can see it in my face, I'm sure. When I went away, I thought I was leaving my city in capable hands. But it seems other hands have taken it from me. And you know what these other hands did? They loosened the belt around their waists and took a dump in my city, my sandbox, mine. Gotham belongs to me. So who here wants to help me take it back?
The idea of the strip bar is taken quite literally by the Joker here, as he actually strips the owner's skin from his body and makes him dance naked in a sadistic attempt at humiliation. Yet again, the Joker's disdain of betrayal and deprived sexual criminal acts are explored here in this extremely disturbing graphic novel. So you may ask, why was this graphic novel not higher up on my list? Well, I must confess that I was very close to placing this at number 1. However, when I asked myself, honestly, which graphic novels had the most disturbing effect on me, the next 2 entries placed higher for different reasons. So at number 2 we have Scott Snyder's highly disturbing Death of the Family, which introduces a Joker who has recently had his face surgically removed by the dollmaker and pinned to his cell wall to represent his rebirth. The graphic novel begins with a truly disturbing scene during a blackout in the Gotham City Police Department. A terrified Commissioner Gordon can only stand by as he hears the Clown Prince of Crime tell joke after joke whilst killing GCPD officers in the dark recesses of the police station. This moment plays with our innate fear of the dark, as we can only hear the cracking of bone as the Joker mercilessly breaks the necks of multiple police officers during this blackout. Clearly the Joker can be brutal in his treatment to those that he despises, but how about towards those that he loves? The Joker's relationship with former Arkham Asylum psychiatrist Harley Quinn has been a turbulent one over the years. However, in Death of the Family, we are led to believe that he's going to permanently disfigure her in order for her to resemble his appearance. In this highly tense scene, we constantly wonder what he's about to do to Harley as he asks her to strip naked, wear one of his suits, some platform shoes, and finally remove her face. As we helplessly watch on, the panel becomes crimson as we hear Harley's scream of anguish. We can only decipher that he has removed the girl's face before we realise to our relief that he has simply placed his Red Hood mask over her head. Snyder's intelligent writing, accompanied with the order of his panels, creates a highly tense scene that ends in a sigh of relief, yet fully elucidates the Joker's sick sense of humour, even to those he supposedly loves. However, the hands-down most terrifying scene in this graphic novel for me is during the intense and shocking finale. Having kidnapped the entire Bat family, the Joker hosts a gruesome dinner for the Dark Knight, who awakens at the dinner table to find himself bound within a chair.
And into the light.
My God.
Ta-da! Dinner is served. Oh, and don't worry, old friend. They're all fine and dandy. Just bound and gagged silent listeners at the table. I've kept them entertained, though. I've been talking to them for hours, telling them what you really think of them. Their ears are burning. Tss, ow, hot.
In about 6 seconds, I'll be free, Joker. And I'm going to break every...
Not so fast, Bats. I wouldn't get up if I were you. After all, you smell something?
gasoline.
That's right. They've been anointed, and they await your judgment. There are flints beneath your throne, and under your table, sire. So at any time during our meal, should your true feelings get the better of you, should you tire of their company, all you need to do is stand, leave the table, and they will burn with shame. Now, though, it's time to eat, to finally lift the lid on this family dish. Earlier, you asked about old Jeeves. Mr. Pennyworth?
Where is he?
Oh, he's around. And ready for service. See? He's right here, and just itching to help.
Alfred, thank God.
Mr. Pennyworth, now that we're all here, will you do the honors of opening our guests' eyes to the feast before them?
Alfred, listen to me.
No, listen to me, Alfie, old boy. Go on now. It's time. Time for the first course.
Joker! What have you done?
What have I done? I've simply dressed them for the party. Or rather, undressed them. Taken off the clothes that have been invisible to everyone but you, my king. Exposed them. And speaking of exposing, Mr. Pennyworth, would you serve us, please? I so hope you like it, everyone. I made it with lots of love.
This climatic scene is particularly disturbing for a number of reasons. Firstly, it parallels the penultimate scene from a movie which I find equally terrifying, and that is the dinner table scene from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The idea of a surreal family dinner, the mask from human flesh, and the suggested cannibalism are all themes within Tobe Hooper's once banned 1974 classic. However, what I find most disturbing here is the Joker's classic trademark of blending the truly sinister within a practical joke. The Joker could have removed their faces, but for him, what is more important is the reaction from his victims to his sick punchline. It's just a joke. And that is what is most terrifying about the Joker. My number one choice might surprise you, as it does not involve a gruesome killing, a despicable rape, or a horrific mutilation, but merely a joke. As I explained at the start of this video, Fear is a highly subjective emotion, and Grant Morrison's classic Arkham Asylum has the most profound effect on me. In this novel, the Joker has held all Arkham Asylum staff hostage and is threatening to kill them unless Batman agrees to meet with him. When Batman arrives, the Joker forces him into a deadly game of hide and seek, giving him 1 hour to escape the asylum before his adversaries are unleashed to kill him. The most harrowing moment for me is when Batman refuses to take part in the Joker's sick game, as can be seen here.
It's getting late. Time to begin the evening's entertainment, I think. If you're feeling up to it.
Up to what?
A nice little game of hide and seek. You have 1 hour, sweetheart, and there's no way out of the building. 1 hour before all your friends come looking for you. There's the Scarecrow, and Clayface, and the strange Dr. Destiny, of course. He seems so frail in that wheelchair, but all he has to do is look at you, and you stop being real. He does so want to look at you, darling. Oh, and don't let's forget the Croc. He came out of that damp, dark cellar this morning, dragging his chains behind him. They all want to see you. So why don't you just run along now?
I don't take orders from you.
Well, there's this guy goes into the hospital, okay? His wife's just had a baby, and he can't wait to see them both. So he meets the doctor, and he says, "Oh, Doc, I've been so worried. How are they?" And the doctor smiles and says, "They're fine, just fine. Your wife's delivered a healthy baby boy, and they're both in tip-top form. You're one lucky guy." So the guy rushes into the maternity ward with his flowers, but it's empty. His wife's bed is empty. "Doc," he says, and turns around, and the doctor and all the nurses wave their arms and scream in his face, "April Fool, your wife's dead and the baby's a spastic!" Get it? Oh, what a senseless waste of human life. Now, Batman, run. The game ends at midnight. Run! Run!
For some reason, this is my number 1 most disturbing Joker moment in a graphic novel, and it is hard for me to explain why. When I first read these pages, I had to literally stop to take in what I had just seen. The punchline of this joke always leaves me with the hairs on the back of my neck standing on end, and I cannot really explain why. Perhaps it is the Joker's extreme reaction to Batman's refusal, where he kills the prison guard without a second thought. Or perhaps it is the macabre events of the joke itself. The Joker strangely goes straight into this joke without any argument to persuade Batman to play his game, as it is the joke that is intended to convince Batman into taking part. Furthermore, the events within the joke seem completely unrelated to the situation, and we need to read into them to fully understand his point. The Joker begins by describing one of life's most joyous moments being childbirth, and a man meeting his wife and newborn baby for the first time. Any maternity ward should be a busy and effervescent place of life. However, the emptiness of the ward gives us a ghostly feeling of death and loss. We are reluctant but inclined to ask, where are all the mothers and their children? It is the Joker's answer to this question as the Doctor that I find truly harrowing. April Fools, your wife's dead, and the baby's a spastic. The fact that the Joker can mock the death of a mother and the child's condition is truly sickening. However, having the doctor and nurses wave their arms together as part of an elaborate April Fool's joke truly compounds the disturbing effect on me. How can the people we trust with our lives and the lives of our loved ones joke about death The idea that the doctors and nurses, people we associate with kindness, would empty a maternity ward and all be in on a sick joke fills me with dread. If we cannot trust those who are employed to take care of us, then who can we trust? However, when the Joker asks "get it," do we actually get the joke? And who is he asking? Batman or us, the reader? On the surface, his joke could mean that if Batman does not take part in his game, innocent people will die or suffer, just like the couple in the joke, and just like the prison guard who he literally shot dead. We could also glean that Batman is the Doctor, and the Joker is the victim. Just like the man visiting his wife and child, this is the Joker's big moment, and he is excited at playing his game in the asylum. Batman refusing to play is similar to the Doctor breaking the bad news to the man in the joke. Batman is ruining the Joker's big day, just like the Doctor ruined the visiting father's moment at the maternity ward. Alternatively, this may be the Joker's way of telling Batman that he knows of his true identity. Batman lost his mother as a child, and as a result, suffered mental trauma. Therefore is Batman quote-unquote the spastic, and Martha Wayne the dead mother. Finally, it is explained in The Killing Joke that the Joker once lost a child himself, so is the Joker literally the unfortunate man in the joke? Did this actually happen to the Joker, turning him into the man he is today? The fact that this joke is never fully explained leaves it open to interpretation, which is why I find it more disturbing the more I think about it. The disturbing impact of this joke is augmented by Dave McKean's surrealist visual style. This interpretation of the Joker looks like something straight out of a horror movie and almost subhuman. With his aggressive, elongated, sharp features, he resembles a menacing bird of prey, his fixed, tiny pupils constantly staring at the reader, as if he is looking into our very souls. McKean's artwork seriously compounds the disturbing impact of this moment as the Joker becomes more visually monstrous as he nears the punchline of his joke. This may suggest that the Joker's excitement intensifies his evil as he reaches his climatic crescendo, like a tenor singing his highest note. By the time he reaches his punchline, his face has become completely red, connoting both rage and passion. As the joke ends, he returns to a cool white, suggesting that he has regained control of himself and ultimately the situation. This is my number one most disturbing moment with the Joker in a graphic novel. Although I cannot fully explain why, it does still have the most profound disturbing effect on me. I feel that this moment truly encapsulates who the Joker really is, a harmless prankster one moment and a homicidal maniac the next. Perhaps this moment does nothing for you, and if that is the case, what would be your number one and why? But until another more disturbing Joker moment is written, this will remain as my number one.